So maybe the first thing we'll ask is you can say who you are and kind of what you write, and then maybe dive into your work.
So I am a writer. I'm a journalist. So I spend all day writing, and what I do for fun is write more. So this is my book. I Married a Pirate. It's available on paperback. It's also available on Ulverscroft, which is big print, which I just love. And I really like the idea that it's so rude. And people who are perhaps older, often that it's assumed they wouldn't want something that's a bit raunchy, which is not. It makes it sound like it's semi-porn, but it's not. But something that's real and not just a heroine sitting in the garden twiddling a flower. And I think that, yeah, we were just talking about stream of conscious writing. But I think that's just a real freedom that you just decide to be a character, have that character, and then you are them when you're writing. So it's wonderful freedom that you're not even you anymore. So it's like,
One thing I was liking about the few chapters that I had read from your book that are available online for free, which was cool, was everybody's had, your online romances and just chatting with people, and it's a very 21st century reality. I grew up with that. There's no relationship that I've had that hasn't been ruined by a cell phone. By me.
that's just so true. But I think it takes courage, particularly for beginners when they start writing. They think, am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to be that? Am I allowed to have a chapter that's like one word long? Am I allowed to have a chapter that's like the whole book? And it's like, actually, there are no literary police. I think writing is a question of finding your courage and your courage to write the book you want to read. There's no point in writing the book you think somebody else wants to read, because if it's not pleasing you, you won't finish it. You won't like it. You're not going to enjoy it. You have to write the book you want to read, and you have to have the courage to just think, it's my baby and it's going to be my way. It's a place that you only when you write a book do you have complete control, complete utter control, and you need to live it. You need to own that. In my opinion, obviously, in my opinion, but I think, why are you bothering to write a book if you're going to have someone else's rules in there? You might as well just go to work, because that's where you have to obey everyone's rules. You might as well go shopping, because that's when you've got to go when the shop's open. But in a book, you can open the shop at 3 in the morning. You know, you can do anything in a book. You can have things. You can have a dragon walk through the door, because it's your world and you're creating it, and anything goes. Absolutely anything. And I think that's finding that courage is often what people ask me. Are you allowed to do this? I'm allowed to do that, and I just always say, like, yes. That's the joy of it.
Is it different when you are trying to publish traditionally? I saw this book, the publisher is Myrmidon.
Yep.
Was it a different task trying to, I think you alluded to something like not obeying the market, and that was something we had touched upon on our first set of interviews, was approaching the market and writing that book that you want to write while still being able to market it, and maybe still going that traditional route.
Actually, it was published. That it was about the fifth or sixth publisher I sent it to, and they just, yeah, the publisher loved it. He read it, he loved it, he published it. It really wasn't. It was surprisingly undifficult finding a publisher, and yeah, who knows if that's a lesson for anybody. Who knows? But because I'm a journalist in the day, then I'm always selling words. That's what I do. So I'm pitching ideas and saying, you want 2,400 words on this from that angle. We're going to say that I'll interview these people and we'll have these pictures to go with it. So it's very defined. It's very categorized before you even begin. And then I think that's possible to do with fiction. I do. I think there's quite a lot of very commercial fiction that has, like Mills and Boon. When you look on their website, it's really clear what they want. This is the word count. This is what the heroine has to look like. That's what the hero has to look like. They are not allowed to shag and dump. That just does not happen. in a Mills and Boon. You know, if ever a woman sleeps with a man in a Mills and Boon, she's obliged to marry that man by the end of the book. It's like, that's the rule. So that it is possible to write that way, and it is possible, I think, but it's just not the way I want to do it. It's not an interest for me. So I would, because that's what I do as a job. So that for me, the joy is to do something where actually finally I get my say, and I'm very happy to talk to an editor afterwards. But yeah, for me, fiction. Yeah, I just think it's a different approach, but I wouldn't negate the other approach either. But I do think that some people, seeing as fiction is very hard to make a living on fiction. You know, you have to be outstanding and very lucky to make any money with fiction. So therefore, you may as well have the satisfaction of writing books that you love, from my point of view. And I think, yeah, maybe you'll make some money from it, maybe you won't. I think it just depends. I guess if someone really, really, really wants to make money from writing fiction, probably the thing they need to learn is how to market. Say marketing's the thing you need to learn. Because, like, if you take the Shades of Grey trilogy, again, this is all subjective, but I think they were. I just don't think they were very well written. I think they were just horrible.
I would agree.
No, and if you want S&M fiction, I would say The Story of O is better written. You know, if you're in that genre, if you're in that category, there is other stuff that's better written. But it was brilliantly marketed, absolutely brilliantly marketed. And so, you know, once it hit a certain number of sales, then it sold itself. You know, the word went round and everyone wants to interview you, everyone wants to talk to you, and boom, there it is. So I think if you want to make money from fiction, it's probably what you need to do is finish the book. Always a good thing to do, and learn how to market. I think so. I think it's more to do with marketing than what the actual book is.
I think you are right on that. Where Shades of Grey was a hot button topic for what, a summer or a year, and then it was kind of just gone from there.
And it's certainly true that modern taste is snappy. You know, it's if you find that any part of your book is becoming a little bit wordy or a little bit the pace is dropping, that is where readers will be starting to kind of think swipe right, swipe left, actually, you know, because they'll just be like, nah, haven't got time for this. So I think, you know, modern fiction needs to be pacey.
So I think process was something that we had brought up. How do you find the time to write? Do you write in the morning? Do you write at night? Is there a set? Is there any time where you squeeze it in? You know, you wake up and write for 10 minutes and that's the writing for the day?
No, I tend to write. I can't write every day because life's too busy. I tend to clear space and work ahead and look and think, okay, I've got 2 weeks there where not much is going on. But I do tend to write at night because people don't phone. Being interrupted is just a nightmare because you're there in the zone typing 1,000 words a minute, just boom, get it down on the paper, and then somebody rings up, you know, hello dear, you know about the dog? So I think no, I quite enjoy working at night because you just know no one's going to phone you, and I do have working splurgers so that, you know, then it's down, especially for a first draft. I think a first draft, it's so much easier if you can get the time, you know, a couple of weeks where you just work all day every day, do nothing else, absolutely nothing else, and that's a luxury because I'm self-employed, so I very often can, if I work hard and get ahead with things, then I can just make a little bit of space so that I've got that time. And editing is a different thing, so you can edit in fits and starts. You know, it's worth sitting down just for an hour to edit. But I think my books need a lot of editing, and I do spend a lot of time editing them. You know, people often ask me about I Married a Pirate and say, you know, how long did it take you to write? They think it must have taken me about a month. But actually, it took 2 years to make it that fast and that chatty. It took, you know, it's very, very deliberately put together.
And the idea of stream of consciousness and maybe developing a mindset and just locking in for a few days, I can relate to that in the sense that you are really trying to get into that character's mind and kind of maybe even become one with the character. You're so deep into it, and that's something that's nice that I enjoy about stream of consciousness writing. I'm from New England, so we've been hammered with Jack Kerouac our whole lives, and I don't think until maybe college I was able to appreciate that type of writing on a different level. And he was all about typing on the typewriter, and just kind of the idea of those being on a really long script I always thought was a cool idea.
I think it is a cool idea, and I think it's a wonderful thing to do because you can make up a character who does things that you're not going to do. Like the heroine in I Married a Pirate shoots her pirate, or at least attempts to. She pushes someone into a shark pool. She steals a boat. She breaks into a safe. She nicks a gun. She does all of the things that I don't live in that world. I mean, I live in a world where I go to the supermarket and I remember to lock my car when I park it. So I really wanted to be this incredible, strong woman who told everyone, oh, I'm going to steal your boat. I'm going to steal your car. I'm going to shoot you. I'll tie you up. You're not going to be able to get one over me. And I think that was just an amazing thing. And it's like, who wouldn't want to do that? Like, be someone else. So I love that about writing. And my female characters are all really, really, really strong women. And they often do awful things to the men they're in love with. And they get their own back, and they behave in ways which I just never would. I'd probably be there going, oh, all right, I'm not certain I don't think I'm really very pleased by that, but my heroines, no, 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 no. They just get a gun and they just shoot them. I'm like, yes. So I think that's really good. I was thinking I might be able to read you a bit.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah, dive in, read anything that you'd like.
I thought actually I might read a bit from the beginning because it's about that I think that illustrates what we've been talking about, the stream of consciousness. And I'm going to read it from the wonderful big print thing, which makes reading aloud so much easier. So here we go. This is how it begins, and it's a letter. Sunday night. Dear Philippa, I married a pirate. Ah, that's the short explanation. But I owe you more than just 4 words. I know I do. You've been so brilliant. Look, he was one of my internet men. I had dozens of them when I lived in France. It was just a late night hobby, emailing nonsense to virtual lovers all over the globe. It's the sort of thing you do when you're as sad and pathetic as I was. The twins were still little then, and I was cursing all men and endlessly struggling to make ends meet. Oh, sounds a bit dire now, but that's how it was, and I wasn't alone. The hills were alive with the sound of domestic discord. Every second mother I knew was singing the same song. I've got no kids but no cash, 'cause Romeo done buggered off and left me for his sodding secretary, personal assistant, plumber. Between the lot of us, we could only muster about 1 part-time bloke, 2 on a good day. Anyway, I escaped from all this direness by exchanging emails with internet men. You know, the sort of thing. Hello, KeviCo4637. My day was truly dreadful. How was yours? And most of them replied, very busy at work today, out playing squash tonight. But Pirate XXX used to ask me why my day had been so awful and then come back with, don't panic, the kids are fine, you wonderful mother, don't worry about roof. Above all, don't answer letters from tax office. Then they don't know if you exist or not. Well, that piece of ice actually worked. He said he lived on a traditional pirate ship, a 60-foot ketch, double-masted, iron-hulled, equipped with powerful engines as well as sails, radios, global positioning system, electronic charts, radar, computers and generators. I'll tell you, Philippa, it's a fabulous boat. There are berths and seating for 12 people, a large galley, showers, lavatories, teak decks and railings. He keeps her riding at anchor just off a small Caribbean island because she's too big to sail single-handed. If he wants to go somewhere, he either takes his speedboat or gets someone to fly him in a private plane. Ah, she's beautiful. all polished cheek and white sails. A real dreamboat, unlike the pirate, who is about as dreamy as a shark. Where's your man? He demanded. Me? Well, I've always been alone, apart from those shoot. I've always been alone, apart from those few short months with, well, you know, I got pregnant by accident, and the minute he realised that an abortion was out of the question, he bogged off prontissimo. I haven't seen him since. I don't suppose he even knows that it turned out to be twins. Charming, huh? The last great romantic, remarked the pirate. Where are you living? In somebody else's joke, I replied sourly. Not a tent? That would be luxury. Where do you live? On the Sun, he typed. That's what he called his pirate ship, the Sun. His personal speedboat is called the Venus, and the rest of his fleet, various other smaller speedboats, a collection of yachts, and a handful of catamarans, have matching celestial names. Mars, the Moon, etc. He doesn't actually fly the Jolly Roger, but believe me, he has a fine selection of dodgy flags to hoist aloft, and neither his fleet nor anything else is respectably registered, because he's a pirate. Oh God, oh God, Philippa, I know. It sounds crazy. No, I've never gone in for bodice heaving or leaping about with a dagger between my teeth. Nor has he, actually. He doesn't sit in crow's nests or slide down ropes or swing from chandeliers. He doesn't look anything like Errol Flynn. He isn't dashing or handsome or sexy. He doesn't have flashing eyes or a smile that would amuse Queen Victoria, and he certainly won't ever turn out to be the wronged son of a noble count or the dashing defender of the poor and oppressed. He's not that kind of pirate. He makes furious, sweaty phone calls rather than swinging from the rigging. Frankly, he's short, fat, old, and irascible. But he did email regularly.
Lovely.
So that's how it starts. And it's just a letter to Philippa where she explains her whole situation and how it started with this pirate that she married. And then slightly, she says she married him because she had to, that he forced her. But I kind of wonder, you don't really marry someone that you don't want to just because they've told you to. But anyway, that was that reading from that, and that's a little taste of the stream of consciousness, or stream of conscious style that it was in.
I loved hearing it acted out and read out with enthusiasm. I'm not exactly sure what we were on to before. I had taken us down the Kerouac rabbit hole at one point. But that idea of stream of consciousness and getting into the mindset, you can really hit somebody with just that, and it's a massive hook.
I think it's really interesting. I love all this, and it's as a writer, I think it is almost like acting. Actually, I think it is a thing of getting into a character really all the way. And to me, I think unless you know your characters all the way through, how can you write them as convincing characters? They're just going to be puppets who do what you need because the plot requires someone to die right now, or the plot requires a car crash. So I think that when you plot a book, it's really important that your characters are the kinds of people who would do this stuff. So I think that creation of a character is, it's like acting. So you kind of need to know the backstory. You need to learn a lot about them that isn't even going to be in the book. So even if the book doesn't say where they went to school or what food they like to eat or what their health history is, I think as a writer it helps to know all that stuff. But I definitely do. I build up really huge kind of dossiers on every character before I even start writing, so they're all really, really solid people and they're solidly in place, because I think otherwise they could come off a bit single dimensional, not really full proper people. I think that can be the danger, and it perhaps doesn't matter. You can have a few people if they're just kind of walk-ons that they only come in and say a couple of lines and out they go again. It doesn't matter too much. But if you're really trying to make a three-dimensional world with real people, then you've got to know an awful lot about them. The book it's an interesting book because I didn't really notice it when I was writing it, but a reviewer said this was a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, that the pirate starts out as the Beast, and by the end he's reformed, but he hasn't really been reformed. He's just been scrubbed up a bit. But it was interesting reading what other people take from what you've written. And we talked earlier about her having a go at shooting him, and I thought it's a much shorter excerpt, but I thought I might read you that bit because it's just a
Fantastic.
bit that makes me laugh a lot. And some of the scenes in the book, I just put them in because I just thought they were so funny. So, okay, they're having a row, and she's had enough. She's decided that she's going to get rid of him, and that she's already nicked quite a lot of his money. She's already nicked his gun, and she's already managed to steal some some bullets and hide them. And now this is it. This is her big scene where she's going to tell him, "That's it. I'm off to the UK. You can't keep me here. You can't kidnap me anymore. I'm off." So she says, she rolls her eyes and says, "No, I told you this morning. I'm going to England." How? Well, how do you think? On a bloody escalator? I'm flying, of course. Pointing the gun at him with both hands, I told him exactly what I was going to do. I'm going to the UK, and nothing is going to stop me. What do you mean you're going to the UK? How did you find that fucking gun? I found it behind your horrible porn videos. Well, why was you looking there? What was you doing? I was looking for your passport, of course, but it's not on the boat. I fucking told you it's in the safe. Yeah, but I couldn't get into the safe, so I was looking here in case you were lying, or in case I could find the keys to the safe. I don't keep them here. I know. You locked me up on the HMS Sinkwick, and you think I'm going to spend 3 days painting my nails and hope you'll come and set me free soon? Are you mad? Of course I searched the place. So you found the keys then? Of course I did. The other week when I took your speedboat. But you left them there. Oh, for Christ's sake, stop thinking I'm stupid, will you? I don't think you're stupid, he said, laughing. You are a crazy woman. Then he took a pace towards me. I brought the gun up quickly and pointed it at his nostril. Get back! Get away from me now! I'm warning you! Don't even think about it! He raised his hands and took a step backwards. Okay, calm down. He looked at the gun in my hands uneasily. Is it loaded? Do you know how to use that thing? Well, I don't know if it's loaded, I said. I might have done it wrong, but I've just put 6 bullets in it, and I don't think the sugar will make any difference. As for using it, I think you just point, I said, demonstrating, and pull this thing here like in the movies. All right, I believe you. Put the fucking gun down. Shut up. Things weren't going to plan. I hadn't counted on having to talk to him before I knocked him off. I'd been planning something much less personal, open the door, shoot the gun, close the door, easy peasy lemons, that sort of thing. And what sugar you got in the gun? It came off the cough sweets, I said crossly. Now walk backwards, slowly. Cough sweets? What are you talking about? His eye lit on the cardboard packet on the bunk bed, and he made the connection straight away. You had the bullets in the sweetie box, he asked, his eyes alight with laughter. What a fucking woman! Hey, just get in the galley, I told him, although I was trying not to laugh too. Just get in there and shut up! I've got to think! He backed into the galley with his hands up and a huge grin on his face. Where did you get all that money? I shoved the gun at him menacingly, and I told him to get the ham out of the fridge, but he still didn't stop asking stupid questions and making smart-ass comments. You've got a plane ticket booked? How are you going to get into the safe? Shut up and get the ham out of the fridge, I ordered him. Okay, I'm doing it. Look, here's your ham. Then he did a double take. Ham? We never have ham. What have you got ham in here for? What's ham got to do with it? Just shut up! And what are you going to use for money? You ain't got enough on that berth. What are you going to get for? What about visas? What are you going to do with the gun? And what in the hell's the ham for? Shut up! I've got other money. The visas won't be a problem. It's all planned out. The ham is for sandwiches. I kept trying to trying to explain it to him, and I kept trying to think straight, but he kept asking things like what I'd decided to do and what I'd have done if he'd taken the gun away, and was I really serious about shooting him, and did I have a proper plan apart from the ham sandwiches. He was staggered, but not at all afraid, but I just couldn't concentrate on all that anymore. By that time, it simply seemed to me that if I could get a nice picnic organised, everything would be fine. I kept looking at the ham sitting on the table in its plastic wrapper and worrying that it was going off. And he kept on saying, "Fucking hell, what a woman!" And I kept on trying to think what to do next. And then he made another lunge at me, and I saw him coming towards me with his hands reaching out in front of him. And he was trying to grab the gun off. And I backed away from him into my cabin, but he followed me in through the door, and I knew he wouldn't stop until he'd wrenched the gun out of my sweating hands. So I closed my eyes, I pointed it straight at his left nostril, and pulled the trigger.
Fantastic.
To know he wanted
and it can be a cliffhanger on that point, and that might be the biggest selling point of the. So is that chapter 3, or is that chapter in terms of you had read chapter 1 initially, and is that?
Yeah, that was the end of chapter 8.
Okay, good. So a little context.
But it's to me, I think it's hysterical. I just love the fact that she's so scatty that she's on one hand thinking about, I've got to have a nice picnic. On the other hand, she's actually got to come. And she's actually but I just really it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh a lot.
The contrast is fantastic. Offsetting the seriousness of the gun and the casualness of the sandwiches. Yeah, just the word ham reoccurring was giving me the giggles. Yeah, I was loving that. So you had mentioned something about how it was interesting to see a review of your own work. And I think that's something that we've touched on in the other interviews, is how is it to see somebody negatively react if you've ever read a review that somebody didn't like it? Or is that off-putting, or was it, you think about it at first and then you don't care? People are how they're going to be, and that's that.
I'm quite lucky because I think I can only think of one negative review. So I think that's a good thing. I don't think I really care. To be honest, because I wrote the book for me, and although that's very big-headed, I wrote the book I love, and I don't really expect anyone else to love it. If they do, it's a positive thing, and I do love it when people love it. Because it's like, then I've met them somehow. It's almost like falling in love with them. Because if they love this, then they're obviously deeply cool and wonderful people that I am going to get on with really, really well. Because we've obviously going to share a sense of humour and approach to life, probably some values together. So I just love anyone who loves my book. But if people don't, I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever. Not my kind of person, then. Cool. Find something else. Probably they need to read the Bible on the island.
Well, I feel the same way, and it happens this way with poetry. Is that when I'm writing poetry, I'm like, nobody's gonna read this. It is one of those things where you don't expect people to read it, so it takes a little bit of the pressure off, and then you not only enjoy writing it, but it's not something that you look at as work. You can come back to it and be like, I love this. This is a piece of me.
Yeah. And I think also how disappointing it must be if you write something hoping to appeal to a mass commercial audience and make loads of money, and you don't really like it, but you only wrote it because you thought that other people would, and then they say no, it's real crap. That would be really bad.
I think that term upmarket, you had used it earlier, where you follow the tropes and you follow the standards, and then sometimes it ends up just being complete garbage, and then you probably get laughed at off the publisher's walk from there.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think it's important to write something that you can genuinely look at and say, this is my favourite book on the planet. You have to. If you can't say that at the end, well, you need to write something else. But that's the real root of, I think, any kind of creation, not just writing, but any creative process comes from deciding who you are and what you have to say. If you don't know who you are and you don't know what you want to say, well, fine. You can probably draw nice patterns on a piece of paper and it'll be pretty, and you can probably put words together and maybe someone will like them. But if you seriously want to create and want to have the freedom to say, no, 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 I'm writing my best book. I'm painting my best picture. This is my best creation. You really do have to, I think, trust yourself and know who you are and know what you want to say. And I think that's really, really important because if you're still at the stage in life, which we all are, at some point of thinking, how do I make a money? How can I be acceptable? How can I be good? How can I be nice? Then you're going to write a book that's like, am I good? Is this what you want? Am I, And if you can learn to stand still in your head and say, fuck it, this is me, then and this is what I've got to say, then yeah, then I think you can find something that's more unique because the only unique thing that any of us has is ourselves. Is that too deep?
No, no, I like it. It's very meta. We like to get meta on this channel.
But I do think that's true. I really, really do think that's true. Because that's the whole point of creation. That's why the creative arts are more important than anything else on the planet. There you go. I'm really pinning my colours to the mast, but I do think creativity is important. I do think it's the only thing that matters. It's the only thing we're here for, and the reason for that is the only thing that you can do that no one else can. I can't write your book, and I can't write your poetry, and you couldn't write my pirate. And that's what's so brilliant, isn't it? It has to be me. No one's invented a computer or a robot who can write kind of crap that I can write. And going forward, that's going to be the only thing of value. Shift forward from here 50 years, computers will have taken over doing so much stuff. And they're already keeping old people company in old people's homes. They're already working as service agents in Japan. They're replacing humans. The only thing they will never ever be able, will never be able to do is create, like really create. They'll only be able to gibber up the input that someone else has given them. Whereas you and I, we can create. We really can start from absolutely nothing. We can make something. We can take people somewhere with us, and computers can't. I think that's what it's all about.
And there are actually algorithmically generated books. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's actually a chess website as well, a chess related website called the Chess Bard, where one of these famous chess players had basically created an algorithm that you play a move in the chess game and it auto generates a line. So I had been playing out with that and trying to get something to work, so I thought that could be cool. But then I was diving in and seeing that that's a thing, that computers are writing books. I'm right there with you on the front lines of not wanting that to happen.
I haven't read a book, a so-called book that's been written by a computer, but I doubt very much that a computer can write a book unless somebody says word length. I need it to be set in this place. I need it to have these characters, and I need these characters to have this plot. I really don't think that there's any program that you just turn it on and say to the computer, by the way, write me something amusing. I think that you'll find that whatever the computer is, there's an awful lot of human input going in there. But I mean, I haven't read a computer generated book, so
Hopefully, none of us will in our lifetimes.
hopefully none of us will in our lifetime. In anyone's lifetime.
I really like where this conversation has gone. Like I said, the meta and the big picture stuff is sometimes what I think people are overlooking. Maybe if you have any things to that you'd like to touch on, just maybe a last plug for the book.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. You can find my website. You can follow me on Facebook. And you can just search for the book on Amazon. And if you search for my name on Amazon, you'll also come up with other books that I have written, which we haven't talked about yet. But perhaps I will come back another time later and talk about those.
You're absolutely welcome to come back on the show.
So,
So feel free to hit me with any links. I'll be sure to link the book and all your socials below.
Well, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. Author
Yeah.
Samantha David, everybody. Please go follow her social medias and check out I Married a Pirate. Now available.
Yeah.
I am Chess Poems, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We say that as a joke on YouTube. It's our trope. Thank you again. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Oh, my pleasure too. I'll see you next time.
Sounds like a plan. We'll see you next time, Samantha. Thanks again. Have a
Okay.
wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye now.